weekend list?
Oh, I've been writing course notes and stuff like that, so
Okay.
yeah, been doing a bit of research and just trying to get stuff down and trying to work out what on earth I'm going to do with things and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mm.
Yeah, I've also been doing research it's the whole weekend actually. Um,
Yeah, me too, basically.
yeah, yeah. But I enjoy it, you know. So
Yeah, I enjoy it too. It's just sometimes it just gets intense, because the issue I have is I can't get stuff down quick enough. So I have to start experimenting with the voice recognition software again or something. So just see
yeah,
if I can't get notes down and then go back and edit the notes, I guess. So
yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah. So what have you been up to? Been
yeah.
brainstorming ideas and stuff, have you, by the sound of it? So
Well, yeah, I had a list of things here for the weekend. I had 11 things I see here on the list, and uh, yeah, I've got through maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. I'll probably clear another 1 or 2 tonight. But just looking to add things and to existing classes and so on. And yeah, I allow myself on the weekend to go off at a tangent because that's part of my fun. So
yeah.
I'll end up doing stuff that's not going to be of value to my get set up classes, but
Mm.
it's my interest, and
Mm.
so yeah, I told you I'd got Dr. Gundry book, his latest book on energy and energy paradox.
Yeah.
So I'm well into that this weekend as well, and sort of looking at things that are, I think, of benefit to not only myself but anybody else that I write about, and
Mm.
so I found it, very interesting.
Mm. What sort of themes are in it?
He talks about what I was researching before he published his book. About the gut microbiome
Mm-hmm.
and the link between that and the mitochondria in the
Mm.
cells, which I've also written about. Um, and then the link with the brain, okay, which I haven't, and that's really focused me. And sort of the key things, basically, historically in his books and in this books, um, there's basically the do's and the don'ts. Okay, if I had, that's my interpretation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
broadly, he will tell you, um, like the first third of the book. I didn't start at the beginning of the book. I started 1/3 the way through, which was solutions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
um, and so I read the solutions first, and then I went on to look at all the different foods and things, which he's just updated really from the previous book that I had,
Mm-hmm.
and and that's fine. And now I've gone back to the beginning of the book,
Yeah.
and so but I've picked up what I wanted to pick up, and that is the sort of the connection that makes one tired, and how you, through stupidity, you make yourself tired.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing largely. Even though I have a good diet and I da 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 da, I've still been suffering. I've mentioned it to you a number of times over the past months that I've been really tired,
Mm.
and um, and so when I saw the book, I thought, let me see if I can solve this. And I think from the book, I think I have now. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, and I experimented yesterday. I'm a bugger. Hey. I've got to experiment on myself. So
Mm.
I did what he said I mustn't do, and then I got as tired as all hell.
Yeah.
And then I took his remedy, and I've had a good day. So uh, I know it's not much of a science, but it's got to work for me to
Mm.
believe
Yeah,
it.
no, sure. Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm pleased I bought the book now, and the first half or the first third, I will find of interest to read through it, but I know what the solutions are now. So
Is the first third of the book defining the problem?
say again.
Is the first third of the book just defining the problem?
Yeah, yes, it is.
Mm.
It's and just sort of, yeah, defining the problem, explaining why people are tired, and why they get exhausted, and why they feel they can't go on anymore, you know.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, it's basically all got to do with food, in in different forms,
Yeah. Mm.
and but then this he also brings in uh, exercise, um, but not in the sort of regime that perhaps I always think of exercise of, like I've been doing before I bought the book, was like classes, set up classes. We'd sit in front of the class, and for an hour we'd do exercises, or 45 minutes, or
Mm.
perhaps like go for a walk for X length of time and
Mm.
exercise, um, and doing stretching exercise and things like that. He's not against that at all. He's just saying that it's not necessary to go to that extreme.
Mm.
Um, he said, basically, as long as you are active all day, if you have to sit in front of a computer, that's fine. Okay, then get up and make the bed. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
get up and go and weed the garden, and then get up and take a walk. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
get up and jump on. I used to have one in South Africa. Yeah, so many things I couldn't bring with me, and that was a rebounder.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
I don't know if you've ever used a rebounder.
Mm.
Really, very good. It's not a mini trampoline. A mini trampoline is very hard on your muscles and your joints and things. It's actually a rebound looks the same, I guess, to the novice, but it's far more gentle in the jumping.
Mm.
So it's much softer jump than a trampoline,
Mm.
and I might even get myself on again, because in South Africa I'd forgotten about it. I had a lot of benefit from that, and I'm not one for necessarily keeping up my exercises every single day. I will just see how it transpires.
Yeah.
I don't have the Don Jones tenacity.
Don't know about that.
Yeah.
And so how is your Get Set Up going? Is it still doing that same routine where you're sort of trying to develop new ones and delivering them? And
Yeah, but I've got it under control now. Whereas before it was
Mm.
panic, because they changed their strategy, and they wanted to get all these new ideas. And I've realized also that there's a what's the right word? There's a difference between East and West. Okay,
Mm.
between America and non-America, basically us in India.
Yeah.
And somehow they're sort of setting a much higher standard for us, than they have in America historically.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah, but that's fine. It's basically all I know. It
Mm.
gets a little bit you think, oh man, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, and we have to do it. But when I think about it, ours is just better. Okay, it's not so slapdash. Okay, and we're busy building ourselves a library, and the slides are my intellectual property. So it can only build and keep building, and so yeah. I don't know if you saw that telegram I sent you.
Yeah, I saw the about the guy over in Canada. Is that the one?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And we've made contact on email, and he phoned me, and had a chat and so on. And out of that came the telegram I sent you, and that possibly finding a handful of people that we could Zoom once a month and just talk about class ideas and class subjects that people our age would benefit, and but aim specifically at myself with ideas for classes.
Is he a guide as well?
No, he doesn't want to be. No, he's not interested. And chatting to him, I could see that Eddie wouldn't be. He doesn't stop talking, but he talks sense. It's not like he does, but he just and
So how did you make contact with him?
Well, he made contact with me. He came in as a learner into one of my classes.
Oh, okay. Yep.
The first time, and then some of my classes got late, midnight for him, and but he would stay awake for them. Okay, and then he said, am I open to some suggestions? Okay, and he first did it through Get Set Up. He sent something, some suggestions for Michael or something like that. And they were very proactive and positive and complimentary. And then I asked Get Set Up for his email address, which they then gave me, and so that's how it started. And so it's evolved. And I wake up today, and he listened to a video about the pyramids, and he wrote down the information from the video, put them onto a Word document, and sent them to me. He said, "And you want to incorporate these into your pyramids class?" Okay. So it's he's basically been retired for 20 years, and he really hasn't done. He sort of like made it financially, I think, and then he retired. And then he tells me he played the market and he's lost everything. Okay.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. And, well, I don't know. I think everything's relative when you say everything.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And so now he just he reads, and that's it. Yeah. So he thought, well, he likes anything technology based, app based, IT based type stuff. Okay. And he doesn't like conspiracy theories. So that's fine. We'll go well together because I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yet one of the links he sent, one of the videos, definitely has not conspiracy theory, but the person who did lots of research about the angles and what the pyramids were doing. He said the author of that, he said it in quite a subtle way. He said, "I am convinced now, looking at this, that our history has left out a civilization. Okay. So I thought, okay, I wonder what he's getting at. So that's the sort of thing that I looked at. Yeah. So I don't know if you're open to maybe the three of us, or maybe get a fourth person or something as well.
Yeah, sure. No, happy to, always. So what is the time differences there? Do you know?
Well, you see, I'm exactly 12 hours, or him and I are exactly 12 hours. So with you, it would be 14 hours between him and you.
Yeah, yeah. So
actually,
when do you talk to him? About what time?
well, you see, it's easy because if I'm 7 p.m. in the evening, it's 7 a.m. for him in the morning.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yep, yep.
Yeah. So if I picked him at 9 p.m., then it's 9 a.m. And that's it. But if we brought in a 14-hour, you see, let's say if it was, let's just take a random figure of 8 p.m. here, it's 10 p.m. with you. And, I don't know how that would fit with you, okay? I don't know what your bedtime is and your routine and so on.
Well, I mean, as long as it didn't go on for like 2 hours, it would probably be okay, so.
Yeah, but no, it's just a random time. I mean, I could make it 7, then, he tends to sleep in, but then on that once a month, then he can get up at 7, and that's 9 for you, okay? Because we can't go really any earlier, because then it's 6 a.m. for him. Okay? But possibly, I mean, I know you get up at an Orthodox hour, but you'll get over it, I hope, sometime. Yeah. I feel exhausted when I just think about what time you get up.
Yeah, 7 days a week too.
I know. You can't even give yourself some time off.
No, well, I mean, yeah, sort of, yeah, happy to.
Okay.
I mean, it would kind of suit me best if he wasn't adverse to the idea of falling out of bed at 7 a.m. one morning, but
no, I would know. We'll just say it is, So would 9 p.m. be all right for you?
Yeah, we can do that. It's only once a month.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, let's do that, and we do the three of us. I thought of one guy in South Africa. And it doesn't really matter, because if somebody from Europe or South Africa, it's sort of like mid-afternoon then. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Or something. So it's not. But anyway, I think if we start the three of us, and unless somebody obvious crops up to you or me or him, that we'll do perhaps I'll start with just doing a WhatsApp group with the three of us so that we can communicate.
Okay. Yep.
You still use WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, we can also do it on Telegram, but he doesn't use Telegram. He uses WhatsApp.
So, yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll take it from there and sort of set our first date. I'm not quite sure whether the idea is brainstorming, but maybe one should, or between the three of us, bring up certain subjects to brainstorm. That might be logical. I'm not sure if it is. Okay, but now that you've agreed, I'll give some thought to it.
No, that's fine. That sounds good.
Yeah. And I guess too, you need to meet him as well in the first meeting, and then also make decisions about how we move forward. Yeah. Okay, that's great. All right, leave that ball in my court, and I will. I'll make contact with you via WhatsApp.
Okay, no, sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think it'll be on a weekend, or what do you think it'll
I think
be?
it has to be a weekend. Okay. Otherwise, the timing is really complicated
Mm.
because of my classes particularly.
Yeah.
But well, no, I suppose. Yes. Sorry, Don. Sue, can you answer that? Or are you in class? Okay. Sorry, somebody. Sorry? Okay. Sorry, Don. Somebody just rang our doorbell. Oh, talking about ringing the doorbell, somebody rang our doorbell at 3 a.m. this morning.
Really?
Yeah. And
Goodness.
I got a fright, okay?
Mm.
And my adrenaline started pumping. And I thought, now, what do I do? Okay. And Sue slept through it. And I thought, no, wait a minute. If I'm going to go to the door, I need her to be awake. So I woke her up and I said, right. And she said, no, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Don't go there. That's somebody, you know, you know, everybody who would ever visit us has a cell number. But I said, yeah, cell phones are off. We don't leave them on at night time, you see. So, but anyway, we thought, well, let's see if it rings again. But it didn't. So, but the adrenaline pumping, I couldn't get back to sleep,
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There's nothing worse than waking up with a fright, is there? It really.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, now it's just wrong again. But Sue's, it sounds like the next door neighbor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that sounds good. No, I think that's a good idea. I'll try that. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and maybe we can incorporate it into something or other, where
Yeah. And so does he have any particular areas of interest as such, or
say again.
does he have any particular areas of interest?
Well, yeah, as I said earlier, he likes sort of science and technology and IT. That's sort of where he focuses on. He is Jewish, and he lived for a long time, many years of his adult life on a kibbutz. And in
Oh,
fact,
really?
yeah, he actually
Okay.
grew up on a kibbutz. He was taught all sorts of things. And but yeah, so I guess we'll get the first time we'll just maybe get to know each other. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, as we're talking right now, another person comes across my mind. Guy, an old school friend of mine that I've kept in touch with, Jonathan. He's got a B&B somewhere in the north of the United Kingdom.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's Scotland or not, or before it gets to Scotland. I don't know. So he's also the same age as. I haven't seen him since school, but I've kept in contact with him. Yeah, and he, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, he might be an idea. I don't know why his name just suddenly shot to mind. So I'll shoot him a note and just see. Yeah, yeah.
No, sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. 3 or 4 is fine. I think it's yeah,
Should be a good number. Yeah.
yeah. And but I'd like it also to be like a social in a way that you and Carl, also get a benefit, and you share what you're doing and he share what he's doing, and then we come up with some ideas that for myself and classes and so on. And yeah. Yeah. Okay, so There was something else I was going to ask you. It had something to do with my research this weekend. Anyway, you carry on talking, and I'll think about what.
I don't know. I was just waiting for something profound to emerge from your side of the country.
Oh, yeah, actually, no, this wasn't what I was thinking, but it's what I've been researching about half an hour now before our conversation. I wanted to, as part of the mysteries under the sea and so on, or part of my science and technology, I wasn't actually sure when I started out. But, I looked at some information about statistics about the Earth, okay?
Yeah.
And then I came across, that's what I wanted to tell you. Then I came across the deepest hole man has made into the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And research. And it was interesting for a number of different reasons. One is that it started off whenever it was, 30 or 40 or 50 years ago, with Russia and America like having a race, who's going to dig the deepest hole and find out what's down there. Okay? And, anyway, they eventually both countries gave up, okay, because they couldn't get any further, okay, and they like sealed their holes, and there was a certain amount of information, but when I looked at, they wanted to get through the crust of the Earth, okay, so the crust of the Earth, I think, is about I'm open to correction, but about 25 kilometers thick. Okay. And then there are, there's the something out called the mantle underneath that, and then there's an outer core and then an inner core. Now, I would think I haven't read this anywhere, that basically because we don't really know what's going on there, we just call them those things and then speculate what they might be. Okay? It's absolutely outrageous when you think we're trying to land on Mars, and we are landing on Mars, and we can't dig into our Earth. So that was interesting. But the mantle, they're all very thick. I can't remember what the mantle I had it. I don't know if you know. It's probably about, I don't know, 200 kilometers or something. And the outer core is probably, I don't know, much more than that. Okay. And then there's the inner core, which is also, hundreds of kilometers. Now, when you think that we drill in a hole, and, we can now, just now, like a few years ago, but we couldn't before that, is get through the crust. Okay. And so we've never explored down there. We have no idea down there, and that surprised me because, when I did the Under the Oceans, I realized, obviously we all know that the oceans take up 70% of the Earth's surface. But, we've only been down a short distance into the ocean, okay, compared to what sonar and stuff tells us the oceans, how deep they are, that they pick up. We haven't been down there. Now I realize that the Earth as well, which I also find interesting. Okay. And just wondering when, something's going to happen, because we have all the speculation that we've got, aliens living in the core of the Earth, and it's hollow, and all the rest of it. And our science tells us they're these dimensions, and they're all solid, and they're boiling hot or something. Okay. And so, but nobody has been able.
I had it in the back of my mind that, that the drilling episode that that they were doing. I thought it was more the Russians than anything, wasn't it? But they, I had in the back of my mind they only got down like a few kilometres, did they, or something like that? Or was it?
Yeah, it's been a process that started a long time ago. You know, when I think we were kids probably,
Mm.
and then various events happened, like like wars happened and Chernobyl happened, and so things just got put on the back burner. And the Americans, their public announcement was they don't have the technology to go any deeper, so they sealed up. So who doesn't know whether any of this is true? Okay, and you don't know what they found or didn't find, or but they didn't get very deep anyway. Neither countries got very deep.
Yeah, like the sort of stuff that I know I can't really recall it clearly, but like the sort of storyline was, the pressures were just too great and the temperatures were just too high or something, you know?
Yeah. That's what the Russians said.
Mm.
And then 15 years later, the Americans confirmed that. Okay, and maybe they talk. The Americans were speaking about 280 degrees Celsius. Okay, and they didn't have any equipment that could withstand that heat. Okay, and yeah, but whatever the reason is, and why not? Why not keep on going? Okay, yeah, even with satellite imaging and sonar from satellites, particularly the African continent, you can see masses of underground water. Okay. Now, Africa's dire thirst. It's starving for water everywhere. Okay, well, just about everywhere, and they can see this water. And the reasons, the article which says that they don't want to drill down to that water because it will then start depleting the water resources of Africa. But who's using them? How many millions of years have they been down there? Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense. So much stuff you read doesn't make sense, and but Moya says that, and I think I've mentioned this to you, that that water down there is going to eventually, when we have major disruptions on the planet, physical, that water is going to come up and split the earth, split the African continent, and some of Africa will be lost under sea. But you can see it from there. You can see the water there. You can see what Moya is talking about. Okay, and yet they're still piping water from like 40, 50 kilometers from one borehole to another population and so on.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because there was also a story up here in Queensland. I'm just trying to remember where I saw it. Can't remember where I saw it. Anyway, and it was had its roots in World War II, and then the reason it sort of caught my interest is because my mum's family are from Townsville, where the story had sort of broken from, and basically the story went along the lines that this massive underground bunker was built up there. Started in its construction in World War II, but they've never stopped building it.
Oh, is that so?
And there's all this there was some archival photos that were found or released or whatever. And at the entrance to this bunker, it's like this huge sort of tube, that goes into the side of like a not so much a mountain, but a large sort of hill type thing. And there's all this speculation about, well, why does it look like that? Because this tube sort of comes right out. It doesn't just start at the side of the landscape. It comes right out.
Right.
So that you've got this big tube sort of protruding, and it's all high security areas and stuff. But some of the really old photos there, when they were initially constructing it, had these big cranes, which were massive cranes on the outside and that. And then there were subsequent photos of these same cranes inside. So that gives you an idea as to the size of the.
Okay. Yeah.
But they were speculating. They were talking about like tens of acres, or even like up to like 100 acres of space underneath this massive underground cavern sort of thing. But apparently, also the story was saying, although it got a bit vague, is that it's still controlled by the US military.
Okay.
So it's quite a restricted area, and no one knows much about it, and no one really has access to it, and except there was a few people who were involved in it, during its construction, but after that, it's sort of like they were never allowed back in and all that sort of thing. So it's sort of.
Is there much to read up on it?
Well, there was just this one article, and they just had a couple of these historical photos to sort of say, well, look, this is a real thing, because like here's the photos sort of thing. But apart from that, it's all a bit of a mystery.
Okay.
So, but I sort of thought it was fascinating because
Yeah.
up in that area, particularly in the more inland areas, like to the west of Townsville, a lot of army camps were established there. That a lot of people would go and do their military training there, and then they would go off to fight, wherever, in Europe or Asia or wherever.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of history up there with all of these military camps, and the US had a fairly strong presence up there as well. Even my mum tells stories about, over on the other side of the river, there was the Black Americans. They had their own camp, and then the white Americans had a separate camp over here.
Okay.
And but they were everywhere. There was a lot of them up there.
Okay.
I said, well, that's a bit unusual, isn't it? Like, why would they have all of these Americans there? Like, But anyway, so it seems.
Yeah, especially Americans are not British. Eh?
Yeah. So it just seems that there was a bit more to the story by the sounds of it. So yeah. But but it was just fascinating just to sort of say, it's got a really unusual design of construction, and it has all these massive areas under there, so this huge sort of cathedral-like spaces there that, there's big cranes were operating in there. And you think to yourself, for goodness, why did it need to be so high? So
Yeah.
just quite peculiar. But but the fascinating thing is they're saying it's still there. It's still there. They were still doing stuff to it, but no one, it was all just highly confidential, and no one knows anything about it, and its location was a bit of a mystery.
You had to speculate. What would you say?
Well, I mean, if it's military owned, I mean, who knows? I mean, who knows? But yeah. But it's fascinating, isn't it, though? Because you look back through a lot of that history in World War II, like the Germans were great ones for digging tunnels and underground bunkers and stuff like that. And the Americans obviously are over in the US, and presumably Russians are as well, I guess. I mean, and up through Europe, there's those big caverns, in the mountain ranges and stuff like that. So, yeah, there's obviously a lot of activity going along underground. So,
right.
But given the you sort of marry the two stories up a bit, you sort of say to yourself, well, I wonder just how far underground they can go,
Yeah.
If they start complaining about pressure and heat and stuff like that. So
unless you've got technology that can handle it, assuming there is heat, maybe there wasn't heat, or only heat is restricted to certain areas. When you consider that the tunnels that the volcanic liquids travel along from one side of the planet to the other, guess you hit one of those, you're going to burn your fingers.
Mm. But some of the mines go down quite deep, don't they? Different types of mines and that.
Well, I don't think too far. We had in South Africa some of the deepest mines in the world, and I think we went down, well, less than 2 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything that was met was water tunnels that had to be blocked off and stuff like that to get where they were going. Yeah. So
yeah, I have watched a documentary too where there was talk of like ancient sort of tunnels. Like they were talking like, hundreds of years of age. But I think that was more like up in the Caribbean or somewhere like that. And there's like these treasure hunters looking for treasure up there, and they'd find all of these, like 300 and 400-year-old timbers would be like, quite deep down under the ground and stuff like that. But like a lot of those stories sort of turned into like pirates' treasure, that in the sense that there were booby traps set so that if you didn't enter a certain way, the tunnels would get flooded and all of this sort of thing. So yeah. But they certainly brought up a lot of very old timbers though from quite a depth. That had been sort of milled and everything. So
yeah.
But it makes you wonder how hundreds of years ago they had the technology to go down those sort of depths. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are theories that, of course, with the floods and the movement of the continents and things like that, these things were silted over. Okay. And but I just love it. Everybody has a theory. As do you and I. Well, you not so much. I have more theories than you do. I like to speculate. And I like to add a little bit to conspiracy theories too. Yeah, I talking about that. One thing I read this afternoon again. Also, I'm not sure how I came across it, but there is a tribe in Africa that they are still hunter-gatherers. That's it, okay? Exactly like their ancestors lived hundreds of years ago. They're still living exactly like that, but they're modern hunter-gatherers, okay? Because they use cell phones to communicate, okay? And otherwise, they move around, they eat, they're very, very, very friendly and peaceful and so on, apparently. And this person who wrote the article that I read went and lived with them for 3 months, okay? Oh, it was about the microbiome. He wanted to check how his microbiome would change if he lived as a hunter-gatherer, okay? It was a health thing. And so it did change in 3 months. He went hunting with them. He ate what they ate, and
so are they nomadic or do they just live in the one? Nomadic. Okay.
Nomadic, yeah. And they I don't know. I guess he says the Thai population is probably just over 1,000 people. That's all. Okay, that's women, men, children, everybody. Okay. And he had pictures of them there, and they looked like handsome modern people, except they were dressed as hunter-gatherers, and he said they seem to be very wise about their history and their past and stuff like that, but they are hunter-gatherers. So, yeah. I thought that was interesting. The Lost Tribe. I've forgotten what their name was. I thought, but anyway, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you sort of think about, the principles in which a tribe like that would live. It must have a very high level of awareness of like their environment and the earth, and be very connected to it and be able to read it and see, be of subtle changes that are coming and things like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and they well, in my mind anyway, have never really ever explained why, some of those ancient tribes stopped the hunter gathering and just settled in the one spot. So because when they settled in the one spot, it tended to bring a lot of problems with it too. So
It did. I from my knowledge of Africa, I would firmly blame it on the missionaries.
okay, yeah,
Africa was changed and was invaded, man,
mm,
by missionaries
mm,
from, particularly Portugal, but certainly from all over the world,
mm,
and they set about converting them. And as soon as they had sort of converted a lot, then a country would come in and annex it,
mm,
that area. Okay,
mm,
so and claim that bit of land, and so yeah,
mm.
yeah. Um,
Did they actually convert them, or did they coerce them?
no, they did convert them, but they manipulated uh, uh, Christian principles in order to melt in with their uh, worship of God, and their traditional things that they used to do, and so forth. So throughout Africa, you get a lot of this mixed um,
Mm,
Christian come hunter-gatherer beliefs, I guess.
mm,
And
mm,
they did that all over the place, and they manipulated and changed it according to those people. So it wasn't like a standard textbook thing.
mm, mm.
And when it came to rituals, Christian rituals, they married them with the barbaric rituals, they used to call them. Okay,
Yeah.
because those people were always referred to as barbaric. Okay.
Mm, mm, mm. Hmm. It's fascinating. Mm,
It is fascinating, and Africa, listening to Moya has just has always lost out. Okay,
mm,
um, and uh, and it didn't really have to, but it did. Okay, uh,
mm,
with when Trismus Gistos was up north, um, as the three-in-one God on earth as a physical human being. Um, he had a tremendous amount of stuff that he wrote down, and it eventually went into the Alexander Library before that disappeared. Um, and uh, uh, and with that information, eventually the Industrial Revolution came about, and that could have been in Africa, and it should have been in Africa. The knowledge originally came from Africa,
mm,
but it wasn't to be.
mm,
So um, uh, in the next cycle, as I've mentioned before, the next cycle, the um, the next evolution, is that the right word? Revolution? No. But the new world is going to start in Southern Africa.
mm, mm,
Um, and it's going to move up. Africa is going to be, the land of promise, and where people are going to learn. So for that to happen, you can imagine what sort of destruction has to happen elsewhere.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Way doesn't
Mm,
say that, but I speculate that.
mm,
And once it all calms down, and who knows how long it takes to calm down, 100 years, um, you know,
mm,
and that's why Moyer is there in Southern Africa, and that's why he's setting up Logos in Southern Africa. Uh,
mm,
and that's why I think he's keeping it secret, not secret, but he's not going out there and
mm,
trying to convert everybody. Um, he just wants to put down a mold, as he calls it. He puts down a mold.
Mm.
I guess that's some sort of spiritual mold. Yeah.
No, it's true, isn't it? Because you see some of these stories, like I don't know whether you saw that story through the week. There was that cryptocurrency billionaire had passed away. Did you see that story?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently no one had access to his wallets other than him. So, which basically means no one knows what his passwords were or anything. So all of those so-called billions are now just gone,
Yeah. Yeah.
But it just says, doesn't it, that, well, there was nothing there to start with.
Yeah, there's been a lot of movement in the crypto world, with not only his stuff. There's been a lot just recently, this past month, June. But I'm looking forward to, today's the 4th of July, but it's still not the 4th of July in America. Perhaps tomorrow to wake up to see what Trump has said. He's going to give a speech, apparently.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and Biden refused to give a speech. He's supposed to. I mean, it's always the president of the United States that gives a speech. He cancelled his speech and so on. So I don't know if something's going to crop up somewhere.
Did you see Alatra? I didn't sort of read it in any detail, but I see that they released, was it a video or something that was basically saying that Trump had some role or something.
No,
although they were advocating some role for Trump within the Alatra movement or something, so I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Which I found sort of interesting in one sense, because they always used to, be hammer and nail it. We're not political and we're not religious and we're not this and we're not that. So yeah, it's hard to know.
And okay, if you have access to that link, that would interest me. I just cancel all the Alatra stuff at the moment.
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, I'll flick it through to you.
It'll probably be on Telegram, will it?
Yeah, either on Telegram or WhatsApp, one of the two. Yeah.
Okay.
They're probably both, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can go back on Telegram and see how long ago was it?
Oh, only within the last week or so, I think it was.
Yeah, but they publish so much stuff through Telegram.
Yeah. I'll just see if I can have a quick look and find it there. But
then maybe just send me the link.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be interesting, because I'm really interested in waking up tomorrow, and maybe there's going to be if he does talk, and obviously the media is not going to cover it.
Well, it doesn't sound like it, does it?
No, none of the mainstream media will cover it, but there'll be plenty of people covering. Can you imagine everybody with their cell phone? I mean, he will attract the crowds, okay, because it's going to be a public thing. It'll be out in the field somewhere.
Oh, here it is. Here. So it's a video by Alatra. It says, Americans call for President Trump to be the voice of humanity at a global Alatra conference.
Wow. Okay.
And it's got a link there. I'll just copy it and.
Yeah, I've copied it. Just put it on my Telegram. It's fine. It'll be great.
Let's see if I can't get that there somewhere.
And you just click on it, I think, can't you? Then, am I thinking of WhatsApp now?
Well, I've just sent it through to you now.
Okay. There we are. Thanks. Okay. Oh, you put it on Skype. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. Let me just click on it now, so that in case with boy, don't know what that is. It wants me to choose an application.
I think it's on YouTube, isn't it? I'm not sure.
No, let's just choose what it says that Telegram does. Anyway, I'll cancel it. I'll have a look after we finish chatting. I've got it up here now. So yeah. So,
yeah, but they're quite prolific, though, aren't they? There's a lot of stuff comes through. So.
Yeah, and I almost feel sad about that because I click on one and it's usually an Indian doctor with a pretty girl, and I think, no, I'm not going there. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, my first impressions when I just look at what's coming through on Telegram, um, you know, I don't want somebody else's opinion. Give me some facts about something.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That I mean, there's too many opinions and too
Mm,
many beliefs, rather than just putting some factual stuff out there.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I quite liked a lot of the, like, when I first started, a lot of the sort of excerpts from the various books and so on, like you could sort of follow those sort of articles and stories and those sorts of things. But it's evolved very much into this sort of global conferences and round tables and stuff, which is just, as you say, lots of, like, there was one there, I think just before that one, which was, Buddhism, Hindu, and Islam talking about their definitions of heaven and hell, well,
Mm,
you know.
yeah, yeah. I agree. That's exactly what I mean. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I just glance at the heading and then move on. Uh, and then there are probably 58 others underneath that I've got to get through also. So it's got to be,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And if you look at them in WhatsApp, then lots of people comment, oh, that was interesting, or that looks, so there's about 800 comments as well, and,
That's why I turned off my WhatsApp one. Um,
mm,
but at least the Telegram, it just comes through, just the posts. Okay,
mm, mm,
and so then I can select what I want to watch.
yeah, yeah. So no, it's interesting times. Interesting times.
I think very interesting times, and I think today is probably a very interesting time in America.
Yeah, well, there's a lot there, isn't there? I sort of look at this massive wealth and stuff that the minority have, which seems to be, or a chunk of it seems to be centered over in the US. And you just think, oh goodness, and a lot of it seems to be almost like how they've written their own history, because the fascinating thing to me is, like, the first fleet into the US, they were English, weren't they?
What do you mean?
Well, like, like the Christopher Columbus or whatever. Where was he from? Was he English or?
Yeah, but I mean, that was 1750. There were people in America long before Christopher Columbus.
Oh yeah, I realize that, but all the Civil War and stuff about the redcoats and all that.
Yeah, from Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that was sort of a civil war between the English sympathizers and the non, wasn't it? So
Yeah, it was. Um,
so they talk about this fierce patriotism and this independence and all that sort of stuff. I mean, they're not much different than the rest of us.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That you'd hardly call them native, Native Americans, could you? Like, they've
Mm,
only been there for a few hundred years, really, haven't they? So
yeah, and they basically came from Africa as slaves.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, that's where they got most of the slaves from, didn't they? They went over to Africa and
yeah,
stole them, basically. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, but there were people besides Christopher Columbus, certainly before that. Um, I'm not sure where they came from. I'm trying to recall now. But
mm,
yeah, uh, but the history is Christopher Columbus discovered America.
mm, mm. And the same with Australia, that James Cook, discovered Australia.
Yeah,
but they already know that there's other civilizations were visiting here well before them, you know. So.
Mm, mm. You got to teach somebody something in the schools.
Well, I mean, it all sort of smacks of, yeah, well, that's right. I mean, it all just smacks of a work of fiction, doesn't it? You know, just to support a particular line that was put forward about, you know, and who took control of the power and the wealth and all of that sort of stuff, you know. So,
Yeah.
and even the way some of the cities developed, you know, like New York and those sort of cities, you know, they were developed by people who were more interested in control and power and wealth than, you know, the broader well-being, you know. So
Yeah.
you know, and that so-called, you know, American dream, it's all sort of built on that sort of, you know, to try and give credence to it, I think, isn't it? You know, so
Yeah.
So it's pretty well entrenched, that's for sure.
Isn't all the country's histories?
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? You know, that's the thing. You know, and as you say, you talk about, well, what is the truth?
Yeah.
And what has been covered up, you know, or not talked about or suppressed or whatever. So it's time we got to the root of some of that stuff, I think. So
Yeah. You know, if you take like South Africa, for example, now, okay, you had the apartheid era for however long it was, 70 years or something, and every history book was changed, everything was rewritten, and that was it. Okay, now 20 odd years ago, we get a democratic government, and the blacks are in power, and now they're going to rewrite the history books. Okay, totally. Okay, probably done it. Okay. And what gets taught in the schools, and now it's from their perspective. Now, are we going to just forget about the fact of what did happen? Unpleasant as it was, but it did happen.
And that's the thing, you can't
You
can't deny it. You know, that's for sure. Yeah.
They want to eradicate it, you know, out of all the history books, and.
But even some of the conspiracy theorists sort of, I mean, that's in effect what they try and do, isn't it? Or they either challenge it or not. Like, you know, did we go to the moon or didn't we go to the moon? Are we on a flat Earth or a round Earth? And you know, all of those sorts of things. You know, it's all about either promoting something that they said was suppressed or trying to rewrite something that was already there. You know, so
yeah.
As I say, there's only one truth, and there's, you know, billions of stories. So
yeah, but who's got that truth? Okay, that's who actually knows that truth. I think we've all got a little slice of it. Okay, and I don't know. Maybe when the whole world gets more enlightened and we get into the sixth dimension, we can look back and say, well, this is what happened. You know?
I think you're right. I think that's going to be a big part of the emergence of the truth, is when we get to the stage where we're able to go across dimensions. You know, because there must be the ability to do that, must filter out untruth or something. You know, there must be some things that just cannot go from one dimension to another if it's not based on truth. You know.
Yeah, I agree. The other advantage of going to other dimensions will be there isn't the same three-dimensional time restraints. Okay? So you can go backwards and forward, but particularly backwards. Okay. And, so it should be, you know, very obvious to somebody in the.
Well, that's right. A lot of the teachings, they talk about that, don't they? You know, is that, you know, within within the dimensions there, you know, the past, present, and the future are all there simultaneously. You know.
Yeah. So I guess you stick your head in the third dimension from another dimension and just have a look.
And then immediately say, "Oh my God, I'm not going there." There's hell. That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Uh,
Yeah.
anyway. Okay, my friend. Well, I guess we should leave it there for the day, should we?
Yeah. Great chatting again.
Yeah, as always. Yeah. Well, I'll look forward to hearing from you. See how you go in terms of organising something.
Yeah, the Zoom class. Yeah. Okay.
For
Now,
a friend.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
all right then.
Sounds good. Okay then.
Okay. Bye.
See you now. Bye now.